Hey everybody, for our first project, we're going to take a package of these oversized pearls as well as any kind of twine, really. This one I think is an old one from Dollar Tree. Next, go ahead and just string your pearls and really make it whatever length you want. I think I did about 20 pearls on this particular strand. And then once you have it at the length that you want, go ahead and just tie the two ends together, almost making like a pearl necklace. And go ahead and tie this in a knot. I'm going to do mine in 2 knots and leave that extra string. Then I'm going to take my raffia. I'm going to kind of trim it down here. And you can see that part of the raffia that's already kind of bent over. That's perfect because this is what I'm going to use to make my tassel. So all I'm going to do is take another piece of raffia, just kind of wrap it around that kind of there towards the top. And then I am going to tie this onto the end of my pearl strand like so. I'm also going to put in a couple good knots in here just to make sure that this is nice and sturdy and strong. And then I simply just trimmed off any of the excess string. I fluffed it up a little bit and then trimmed off the ends of the tassel just so everything was nice and even. This is what the tassel looks like when it's all done. I absolutely love this. I think it's super classic looking. This is it hanging on the doorway. You'll notice that I did add a little bit of shell embellishment to it, and I think it looks super, super cool. And then this is another use for it. Put it around the mouth of a vase, and it really ups the vase's game and makes it look super elegant and beach chic. All right, for the next project, you're going to grab one of these crafter square snakes. I love this thing. It is 100% wood. It is totally flexible. It's unfinished wood. And then also grab one of these Dollar Tree round candle mirrors. Now, you're going to decapitate the little sucker. Cut his head off, cut his tail off, and basically you're just going to be working with his body. Take some of your antiquing wax, stain his little body, and do what I did here. I just rubbed some on, then wiped it off. Then I glued the two ends together and used a Dollar Tree hardware clamp to just hold this together. I did use E6000's quick hold, and I let it set for about 2.5 hours. Then once everything was dry, it was time to go ahead and just glue this on top. Now you'll see kind of the spine of the snake, but it kind of works perfectly as a guide for your mirror. So I just went ahead and I took my E6000 and I literally just added E6000 quick hold right to the spine of the snake. I know that sounds crazy and kind of gross. And then I just set it up and let it sit for about 4 hours to dry. And when it was all done, this is what it looked like. I had that little easel, which was so perfect for that mirror. I think it kind of looks like a fancy porthole. I don't know. What do you guys think? I love it. And for the last project, I'm going to take another one of my crafter squares, little sneaky snakes that you can find in the crafter square section. And then also this is a wood plaque that was left over from a Michael's grab bag. You could literally use any kind of Dollar Tree wood plaque, or in any of the cardboard plaques would probably work for this too. So just dig deep into your stash. Also, you're going to need some of these oversized popsicle sticks, as well as some of these smaller wooden cubes that you can also pick up in the crafter square section of Dollar Tree. Now, you're going to take your little wooden snake guy like we did before, and you're going to cut off his legs, and you're going to cut off his head, and then you're just going to have his body like this. And then we're going to take his body, and we're going to cut it in half. We're going to try and get it almost perfectly centered. So just take out your little Dollar Tree hacksaw and just hack away until you have 2 pieces of your sneaky snake. And once you have your 2 pieces of your snake, go ahead and take your sander. I've got a sander here in desperate need of new pads, but I just sanded off the edge of each one of the snake's body parts. And then it was time to start working on my little wood plaque here. So this had some 3-dimensional hearts that were in the bottom of it. So I'm going to go ahead and just pry those off of there with a screwdriver and just set those aside for another use. And then I'm taking my oversized craft sticks and I'm cutting them down to be the exact size of the inside of this wood plaque, because these are going to kind of lay along the bottom of the tray itself. So I'm just going to use one as a template. I'm going to go ahead and trim it with my wire cutters or cutter thingies. I don't know what they're called. I think they're wire cutters. They work really good on wood too. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim up my stick here and do it off camera and then do it barely on camera there for you. And then you'll see here, I'm just kind of using that one as a template and measuring it out. And then we'll do enough of these sticks in advance to completely cover the bottom of my wood plaque. And for this next part, I was a little bit of a bonehead and totally forgot to film while I painted that tray. I just did 2 coats of Rust-Oleum's chalk paint, nothing earth-shattering there. And then I'm using my heat gun in between those coats to make sure everything is good and dry. And then I know I want to put my handles on the outside of the tray, and I'm going to screw them in. That way they are nice and strong and sturdy. So I'm just marking the spot where I'm going to drill with my purple chalk pen, and then I'm just drilling into the side of the box, kind of like so. I just kind of eyeballed it where the dots were kind of on the inside of the box. I hope that makes sense. And then also to make sure that I didn't split any of the wood on the handles or the snake body, I'm also going to drill some pilot holes in either end of the snake body as well. And then just taking a simple screw and just screwing it down to the base to hold everything in. And then I did cover it with chalk paint, the screws with the chalk paint, that is. Then I took my glue gun from Chandler Tools. I love this. It has an on-off switch and it has this really heavy-duty base. And then I'm just gluing my sticks directly down to the bottom of the tray, kind of working my way all the way down to the end. And then when I got to the end of the project, there was a little space there, but a full-size stick would not fit. So I knew that I was going to have to cut this popsicle stick. And I grabbed my manual mini cutter, which I picked up from Slice, and literally just sliced right through this popsicle stick. What I love about this cutter also is not only is it super handy and easy to carry around and use, but the blade is actually made of ceramic, so it literally cannot cut you. And it will cut through wood, as you saw. Now, what I did was I just sliced down the middle there, and it was the perfect fit for inside the tray. And that was it. After everything dried, this is what the tray looked like. I absolutely love this tray. I will not be giving this away. This will stay in my bathroom. You can put jars on it, kind of like this here with some of your toiletry items. Certainly a neat way to do it. But I decided to go ahead and put a Dollar Tree succulent and some rocks. I just used the base of a mason jar as my planter. And then I added a Dollar Tree candle holder with some Dollar Tree rocks. I love this. You use 2 of these glass skinny candle holders from Dollar Tree. You're also going to grab 2 of your Eco Buddies wood plates. If you don't have any Eco Buddies wood plates on hand, then definitely check out the link below in my description box. It will include a link on where you can buy these on Amazon. They are great for crafts. They are good to eat on. They're 100% birch wood, and they're disposable. You can literally throw this away when you're done with it. You're going to grab some of these wood blocks from Dollar Tree and also some shower curtain rings. Go ahead and open up your shower ring and just clip off this one little peg here. I don't know what it's called. Clip off that thing that you just saw me clip off. And then the idea is you're going to glue it to the side of your plate. Now you will want to go ahead and manipulate and play around with that shower ring just a little bit. Go ahead and stretch it out a little bit without breaking it, and then add some hot glue on either side of it and glue it directly down onto that plate and hold it really tightly until it dries. That is probably the most tedious part about this project, but it will work wonders when it's done. Once your shower curtain is completely dry on the side of your plate, then you can take your plate, gently flip it upside down. I suggest doing this on the side of a table, and glue your 4 blocks to the bottom. Take it outside, spray paint everything one color, and this is what it looks like when it's all done. I love these. They're super transitional. They could go great with industrial, great with farmhouse. You could paint these like a pewter color. They'd look like they were metal. A lot of different options available for these. I love them. For our next project, you are going to need 4 Dollar Tree frames. You can really do this in any size that you want. I'm grabbing the 3.5 by 5 size. Also, you're going to grab an assortment of Dollar Tree rocks and some different succulent plants. I'm also going to be using this E6000 Quick Hold for the first time, so I'll tell you how good I think this is. So go ahead and remove all the guts from your picture frames, and you will be keeping the glass in there. You'll notice that your glass has some of these pesky little marks on them. That is from the matting that they include in these frames, and for some reason they glue them to the glass. So just go ahead and grab a razor from Dollar Tree and scrape those off. Do this gently, and you'll be perfectly fine with the way that they look when they are done. I then added some hot glue in the corners of my frame. As you can see, the glue is not really going to show out. I would suggest that you go very lightly on this part. I can tend to be a little heavy-handed when it comes to my glue. But again, if you just kind of squeeze in the middle and then drag your glue gun down, that will give you enough glue to be able to secure that glass into place. Also, while everything is drying, take one of your frame backs, just remove everything from it, and then touch it up if you need to or want to with some chalk paint. I'm just doing this because this will serve as the base of my terrarium. The moment we've all been waiting for, using that E6000 quick hold. This is a new product from me. I'm not sure if you've seen this before or not. So go ahead and add some E6000 to the frame, and then also a little bit on the edge there, basically where you're going to be joining your corners of the frames. I do recommend putting that cap back on because it does like to ooze out. And then after you've done this, I would hold it for just a few minutes and then set them aside. I would say that both of these dried within 45 minutes of each other, and then I was able to manipulate them and glue them together into my box, kind of like you see here, which was great. As you know, E6000 can take a little while. So for the base of the terrarium, I'm using that piece of the frame back that I mentioned earlier. Just trim it down to size. And then once everything is dried, you can start adding in your rocks and your plants. For mine, I wanted to go ahead and add some white rocks kind of to give me beach, and then some of the darker rocks to kind of give me the ruggedness of the coastline, we'll say. And then I went through and I added some plants and then also kind of sprinkled some of those other smaller rocks kind of on both sides of this, just kind of creating the environment that you like, really. And then for my finishing touch, I added in a Dollar Tree candle holder, and this is what it looks like all lit up on my desk. And then I finally made it into the bathroom with it, and again, I absolutely love this. It's the perfect addition to my bathroom. It still gives me some light and some nice ambiance, and I just think it's really cool looking. And for our last project, this Dollar Tree abacus, you are going to take some of these wooden beads that you can find in the hair bow section. They come in a pack of 20. You're also going to grab one of these clear frames from Dollar Tree. They're decorative, as you can see. They don't have a back on them, and that's the one that you're going to need. You're also going to grab some bamboo skewers and then some wood blocks. I'm using 6 of the Jenga pieces and 2 of these smaller square ones. First, I'm going to go ahead and assemble the part of the base of the abacus. So kind of like I had there, just glue 2 of the blocks together end to end, and then glue 1 in the middle, and then glue the smaller block on the top. I kind of think of this as, they kind of remind me of a boat for some reason. So glue them together like you see here. And if it doesn't remind you of a boat, then pick something that it reminds you of. After you've got those feet together, go ahead and just set those aside, let those dry. Then flip your frame upside down, and you're going to remove the hanging hardware that's attached to the back of this. Now, you'll notice when you do remove this hanging hardware that it does leave quite a large hole in the side of your frame, which just doesn't look cute. So we're going to address that in just a minute. But first, we've got to break this glass out of the center of this. So hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. And then when it does break, go ahead and clear off any of that loose glass, and then flip this frame over. You'll see this track that was left, that's kind of what was holding in the glass. That track will be very valuable to you later on, I promise. So go ahead and take your hole filler, spackle, whatever you want to call it. I call it hole filler, and fill your holes with it. Just go ahead and get this as smooth as possible and let that dry. While that is drying, you can go ahead and glue your feet to the bottom of your abacus, kind of like so. And then you are going to want to pre-cut your sticks. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of eyeballing it and lining it up against the frame itself. And you can see here, obviously I'm not exactly measuring this. I'm just kind of eyeballing it and then marking it with my pencil on where I want to trim all of my other sticks. Now, this is not a legitimate abacus, because a legitimate abacus will have 10 rows and 10 beads per row, and mine only has 5, but it's just for display or visual pretty purposes. So go ahead and stain your skewers. I'm just using a Waverly antiquing wax and set those aside, let them dry. I painted my frame with some flat black Rust-Oleum spray paint. Then I went inside and created my skewers. Now, you'll notice that if you're a math wizard out there, you know that a abacus has 10 rows and it also has 10 beads per row. Well, mine is for decorative purposes only. Don't be teaching the kids math on this one. This is just for, pretty. If you did want to make a legitimate abacus, though, you could easily do this with 10 skewers and 10 beads per skewer. So you math wizards out there, don't be yelling at me. All right, now once you've got your skewers all set, then you're going to go ahead and fit those within the track on that frame. Now, what I did was I did take my pliers and I just kind of clipped off or just trimmed off or flattened it, the ends. That way it would fit better within the track itself on the frame. And then I did use a little bit of hot glue where I needed to, just to make sure that each skewer row stayed where it was supposed to. So hopefully that all makes sense, because when it's done, it will look like this. I think it's super cool. It's definitely got an industrial vibe. It could go farmhouse. It could really be used in a lot of different ways. It's just not good for math. Not this one anyway. Go ahead and grab your wreath forms, and then you're going to be separating the rings here. I wanted to use the smaller ring as well as the larger ring on the outside, and you just clip them with your wire cutters. Now that you've got 6 pieces, you've got 3 of your larger rings and 3 of your smaller rings, go ahead and start wrapping your rings with your nautical rope. Now for the smaller ones, I went ahead and used Megan's advice and separated my nautical rope into the 3 pieces that kind of make up the nautical rope itself. I wanted the smaller rings to be wrapped in just 1 piece of that nautical rope. And then for the larger rings, I will be using the entire piece of nautical rope to wrap those. And then I simply just kind of started gluing the one end of the nautical rope onto the wire ring itself, and then slowly started just kind of working my way all the way around the rope, kind of gluing every couple inches or so until you kind of had 3 finished pieces like this. And then again, just repeated it for the larger nautical rope pieces. And now you can see kind of what the 3 or the 6 looks really look like. I've got 3 of my larger ones and then my 3 small ones. Then you simply just kind of assemble your sphere. You don't even have to glue these. The nautical rope and the tension will just keep them together. So go ahead and put 2 in there, and then take your 3rd one that you've got and just kind of wrap it around the outside, and do this with your larger ones as well. Then for a finishing touch, I did just kind of burn off some of these fuzzies with the lighter. And here you have it, the finished product. I am obsessed.